History tells us that we've been fishing here in our streams and oceans for thousands of years. But over the last century and a half, more of us with better tools and improved technology are putting a strain on California that we all love. Today, with 38 million Californians, treating our resources wisely is an incredible challenge. Hi, I'm Tom Raftican and welcome to Real World Conservation. The concept behind Real World is simple. We hope to explore solutions to resource challenges that balance our sustainable use of resources while still ensuring a vibrant future for our kids. We'll not only look at fish, but habitat including our oceans, reefs, estuaries, and streams. And in addition to checking out these ecosystems, we'll chat with fishermen and other experts to shed some light on practical solutions that work today and yet serve us well into the future. Join us as we check out some great fishing and real-world conservation. Howdy, welcome to Real World. Tom Raftican here, and it's really good to be back. We were basically COVID strained for a number of years here, and it's good to get back on. And I want to thank Ellie and JP and Eric and all the folks at TVSB for the wonderful work that they do behind the scenes all the time to allow something like this to come on. And in particular, a very special thanks to Michael Nicholson. Michael's been we've been working together for way decades, let me just put it that way. And he just does a fabulous job, and it's really good to be back here. So welcome to Real World Conservation. You know, we're starting off, we've got the Carpinteria Salt Marsh as a background on this, and the Sportfishing Conservancy, the organization I run, is focused on conservation and sport fishing, and a lot of it has to do with habitat. And coincidentally, the Salt Marsh is one of the owners there is the Santa Barbara Land Trust, and we've done a very special no-motor fishing tournament there for a number of years that benefits the Salt Marsh. We also do a special thing called the Conservancy's Classic that benefits the Gaviota Coast Conservancy. And I've got a guest on tonight, and we're going to talk about both of those. We've got in the studio Patrick Friedman. Patrick does outreach and conservation for the Sportfishing Conservancy. Patrick, welcome to Real World.
Hey Tom, thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to talk fishing. Every time we get to sit down and talk fishing, it's a good day for me. Absolutely.
I'm going to make you talk a little conservation too, because you get it. But you know, first of all, you know, we'll talk about the Conservancy's Classic and the No Motor Tournament, but I'd kind of like to start off. We've got a really unusual tournament coming up with the folks over at Hook, Line, and Sinker.
Yeah, Hook, Line, and Sinker, man, I can't say enough about Ben Miller. The store is amazing. He's a great fisherman, but what kind of makes him stand out when you really know someone is in love with the sport is when they give back to the community. And that's what this tournament's all about. It's a high school tournament. It's on October 14th. The timing's perfect when it comes to this fall swing coming in for freshwater and salt.
Both.
But like I said, I can't say enough about Ben Miller, and it really warms my heart that he's given these kids a tournament, because man, would I have died to be in one of those as a kid.
There's just a tremendous opportunity there, and Ben has really taken this on as a personal passion. And it's a competition, individual, but also between different high schools in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, we're talking big, major bragging rights, right? Yeah. Like any of those high school rivalries that are going on, they're going to be going on in the fishing community too. So it's such a cool concept, and I just can't wait to see the outcome of this tournament.
I know, and the fall is no longer just football; it's now football and
fishing. And fishing, yeah. And you know what? It's going to set up to kind of, you know, pick your poison. We've had great surf fishing tournaments in October. This cool weather for the lakes, and I'm biased, I'm a freshwater guy, but fall fishing on the lakes is some of the best fishing you can encounter during the year.
And this year we've got water in Kachuma, which is a big difference. You know,
absolutely.
Lake has been so low before. It's really getting back to normal, and we really have got some great opportunity coming up.
Yeah, and the cool thing is too, if you go up and sign up at Hook, Line, and Sinker, you got you can do everything there, right? You can talk to Ben, see what's going on at the lake, see what's going on at the ocean. He's got all the stuff you're going to need to throw out there when it comes to setups, line, lures. He's got all the knowledge to kind of point you in the right direction. And you know what? It's not far from his shop to hit either one of those places.
Fresh and salt water, right?
Yeah.
We got the coast right here and then right over the hill for Kachuma. He has done a really good job. This is a non-commercial show, but a wide range of tackle. I mean, he's got everything you could want, but importantly, and the real value of a local fishing shop is Ben's expertise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I kind of touched on it earlier, but what really sticks out from Ben to me is his selflessness, right? It's putting on a tournament like this is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and like I said earlier, just getting that future generation prime, showing that future generation, that has almost as much to do with conservation.
Anybody out there interested in joining the tournament, any high school student out there, talk to the fishing club at school, but also come on into Hook, Line, and Sinker. It's the best place to sign up. And just a little plug for us, the Sportfishing Conservancy. We offer scholarships for everybody that wants to get into the tournament, so we can take care of any entry fees for anybody who wants to get out there. It's about giving back and making sure that we've got kids in the future and that we take a good approach. A lot of the stuff that we're doing on best practices for recreational angling fits in really nicely with this.
Yeah, I think that's why our relationship with Ben really blossomed, right? Our ideas were kind of pointed in the same direction. We very much care about the next generation discovering the sport and taking care of our oceans and lakes. And Ben was just right on the same page with us when it came to that.
Amen. He does a good job. We're talking, or I spoke briefly about some of the stuff we've got going on. We've been sponsoring a no motor tournament for, this will be at the 15th year. And we've raised over $10,000 for Santa Barbara Land Trust that they reinvest back in the salt marsh, for enhancement and restoration efforts to make sure that the salt marsh functions as it should, as an estuary. It pumps juvenile fish out into the ocean. It's really important. But the folks at the Santa Barbara Land Trust are doing a good job to make sure that this gets out there. And we're really happy to be, kind of in line with them and do that.
Yeah, and it's working. If you go by there and just take a look, you'll see leopard sharks, halibut, right? I mean, we went there and it's absolutely amazing the job they're doing.
Yeah. We have another organization, maybe tell folks a little bit about the stuff that we've just done with the Gaviota Coast Conservancy.
Yeah, we just had a big tournament for the Gaviota Coast Conservancy, and it's always cool to see a kid win a kayak, which was the case on that tournament. But what a cool location that we did, right? Like, that was an awesome place to do a tournament, and it was just fun to see families come together and get out and fish.
Well, we were at Haskell's up by, up the road a piece from our normal store down in Carpinteria. But, you've got a wonderful beach there, wide open, really good surf fishing. And I think the largest fish we saw the day was one of the kayakers actually got surrounded by a great white shark out there.
Yeah, I was talking to him, and that's my nightmare. I'm terrified of great white sharks.
Yeah.
Sharks in general.
Yeah.
I won't get in the water. If I saw one, I'd probably freeze. And he kept fishing.
He kept fishing. It's like, I asked, I said, how big was it? He goes, I don't know, but it was making a wake.
Yeah,
it's like,
when you're starting to go over waves from a fish.
That's a big fish.
I would have been on the beach in 2 seconds.
We've had this, we've done surf fishing tournaments for quite a while, and I remember way back, and this is one of the early no motors that were doing the setup the night before down on Padaro Lane or Santa Claus Lane, and as we're finishing up, one of the guys, Mark, who donated the kayak that year, goes, "What are you going to do with the sharks out there?" And I said, "Pardon me?" We're fishing basically Carpinteria Surf, Carpinteria Reef. He goes, yeah. The guys that I've been fishing with said that, they've been out there and there've been, a number of great white sharks out there the last days. And it's like, I've got a tournament starting the next morning, and at literally 9 o'clock the night before, it says, what about the sharks? So we had a captain's meeting first off in the morning and say, okay, fine. You want to take your kayak out there, fine. That's it. I want to warn you, this is what, I'll be on the beach in ankle deep water and no more. And you can fish the tournament that way, but understand that, we have a lot of natural predators that are out in the area, and normally there's no interaction, and that's the wonderful part. But be aware that they're there.
Yeah, keep your toes in the kayak that day. That's what I do.
Keep your toes in the kayak. So.
But yeah, the no motor tournament, that's going to be a week after the high school tournament. That's one of my favorite events of the year because the entire community comes together. You got Robotized Candy, all these local stores that come together and, donate prizes to the tournament. Island Brewery, just a couple of all the people that, give back to the community. And it's just for a great cause. Danny's Deli hosts
I was just going to say Danny's Deli. It's a kind of ground zero for the no motor, and it's been that way for a number of years. And it might change sometime down the road in the future. But the thing is, Danny and the folks there are really good. They help us set up. We give away a kayak, a Bass Pro Shop kayak at the end of the event, and allows us to set up there and do all the weigh-ins, which actually are photo weigh-ins right now, and it enhances his business to some extent, but it's got to be kind of a pain in the neck too. So it's really great of him to do this.
And most importantly, he gives everybody one of the best tri-tip sandwiches you'll ever eat in your life.
Danny's Deli and tri-tip sandwiches synonymous. So really synonymous. The thing I like about the no motor is it's a great tournament. It allows everybody to get down to the beach, and we see as much surf fishing now as we do with kayaks down there. But, you get your feet wet, but if folks don't know, there's some really good surf fishing around.
Yeah, and people catch fish every time. Every time. A lot of surf perch. Usually that wins it, but a big halibut isn't out of the question. Yep. There's Corbina. You're coming on the end of this summer heat, right? So the water's still warm enough for it to be pretty active. Yeah. So, it's a good time of the year to have a tournament. It's not going to be summer hot, so it's beautiful. Like today was a perfect day.
It's just wonderful to get down, get in the water, get your feet wet. And the thing I really enjoy about surf fishing here is it doesn't take a lot to get set up. I think everybody's got an old trout rod, spinning rod, sitting, somewhere in the closet, and just take it out and best go by Danny's or go by hook, line, and sinker, and they're happy to set you up. And for a few bucks, literally a couple of bucks, you're in line. You can get out there and be competitive in a tournament with a good chance of coming away with something.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest advantages to surf fishing is the entry level is low, right? You don't need a $500 setup. You're not paying to go on a party boat.
Get a fishing license.
You got to get a fishing license, but that's basically the barrier to entry. Like you were saying, you got an old trout rod. You got any spinning setup. You don't have to cast far. No. The fish are right there. In fact, a lot of people cast too far, and that's.
I always love it. Eric Wrangle used to have Artful Angler down on Santa Claus Lane. That was where we set up and where that shark story actually started. And he was he had a fly fishing shop right there, the Artful Angler. And we'd go down to the beach, and he was guide Montana, came back, and he had surf fishing, fly fishing and surf wired. And he goes, you're all casting way over the fish. He goes, they're right down here at your feet. And if you pay attention when we're at the beach, you watch. And you say, what was that? Oh, yeah, that was a fish. They eat sand crabs, and they eat them right basically at the very edge of the water. So,
yeah, it's really easy to spook that. And if you didn't know it, it took me a while to learn that too. Yeah. You would think, everybody who's fishing from shore is trying to make a far cast, and everybody who's fishing from the boat is trying to get it to the shore. Sometimes you're casting over the fish, sometimes you're casting away. You just got to know where they're at.
I'll tell you a funny story, and this is a long, long time ago. Family and I were van camping out on the Colorado River, and we get down there, and we're fishing along the shore, just casting out there. And we're there, and everybody's casting as far as we can go. And I'm looking, there's a bit of an eddy coming back around. And it's like, you know what? Just drop the line straight down. I got the biggest striper of the day out of anybody fishing there all along. And I mean, literally, you could have dropped a rock that far offshore. So it was a great lesson that don't always cast as far as you possibly can, because a lot of times you're casting over the fish. You know?
Yeah, figuring out where the fish like to set up, especially surf fishing, like where all that commotion is going on, that's where all the sand crabs are moving. Knowing where those fish are setting up, that's a key to every body of water you're fishing. So that's a good place to start when you're in a competition. Figuring out where those fish are going to set up for the type of body of water that you're fishing.
Fish orient on structure. I mean, and the things, if you got rocks out there near the rocks, well, you may lose some gear. But the thing is, you're also going to catch some fish doing that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest lessons I learned in bass fishing is don't be afraid to make a cast, because that cast is where the fish are going to be. So if you're afraid to throw it through a bush, someone else is going to, and they're going to catch that fish.
Yeah, fish generally tend to orient towards structure, and that kind of gets us back to the stuff that we're doing. Gaviota's Coast Conservancy sets aside land along the coast and tries to work to ensure that that land is not developed so that it still is productive for fishing. Santa Barbara Land Trust, basically the same thing up and down the county, and in particular the salt marsh, which has been one of the things that we kind of took under our own a long time ago and decided this is really worth not only preserving but enhancing. And the reason, I think we talked a little bit about before, is so many of the fish that we have in the ocean actually come out of these coastal estuaries, and it's the structure, it's this habitat that's so important.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a way to sustain, right? Like anybody who loves fishing like we do, we want our kids to enjoy it. We want future generations to enjoy it. It's not about it. Sometimes it's about us catching fish, but we want to make sure that it's sustainable for everyone and for the future generation, for our generation.
Yeah, for our generation.
Because it could be quick if we don't have things set up like that.
And everybody goes, oh, salt marsh, what about it? We normally have kind of a check handover ceremony in the salt marsh.
Yeah.
And we go down there, and Franklin Creek comes up through the salt marsh, and every time we go down there, we look, it's like, oh, there's a mullet jumping. Yeah, there's this, that. It's like, sometimes they've got some monster mullet in there, but the thing is, years in a row, you always look down there. You take your time and don't look at the water, look through the water and look down in it. And we have I shouldn't say always, almost always seen quite an array of leopard sharks in there.
Yeah. For me, it was every time. Every time we went down there. I haven't been as much as you, but the times I went, I was blown away at these big leopard sharks that are just
I can't think of a time that we didn't find one. I just don't want to say it's 100%, but it's pretty close. It was wonderful. We were down there, instead of at the bridge where we normally do it, we were at the very entrance to where the salt marsh flows into the ocean. And I'm walking along the basis of Franklin Creek, which is the outflow there. I was like, well, there's a leopard shark, and just grabbed a cell phone camera and shot a constant video of this fish just lazily heading his way back out to the ocean, which is exactly what we're talking about. And this was it was probably 4 to 5 foot long shark that was right in the salt marsh there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it as to those fish are thriving in there, and it's so important. I keep going back to, we need sustainability, and that is such a key resource for, our Santa Barbara beaches.
Yeah, we talk about real world, we talk about you and I fishing, and the competition is important, and catching the bigger fish, and I usually do, but which is untrue freshwater. We won't get it. We won't get into the. You cleaned my clock the last couple of times. Although I think I finally, if you're counting those little ones, I think I might have gotten more fish than you. They hardly count. But it's the long-term view and the long-term vision, and especially the more you fish, the more that becomes really, really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're in it for the sport, I mean, freshwater bass fishermen, we're all about the sport. We're all catch and release. We want our kids to be able to do it. We want there to be tournaments year round where everybody can catch fish.
I wrote an editorial, well, a year and a half ago about a guy by the name of Ray Scott. And Ray Scott was the guy that founded BASS. And he did it, he probably set a conservation model that is held solid across all fishing now. And there are others out there that have done the same thing, but Ray did it, and he started off almost by accident, but he realized what he was doing and said, we have to do it this way. He held bass tournaments in Texas, and this is going back in the 1970s and into the early 1980s. And these guys were good. They're very good. And they go out and they'd fish a lake. And the problem is they'd clean it out.
Yeah.
You know, they'd take enough of the big fish out the lake that it made competition really hard after that. Mm-hmm. And after a year or two, the lake owners go, we don't want you back. You took all the big fish. We don't want you back. Ray goes, you're right. And what we're going to do is we're going to release every one of those fish. We're going to measure them. We're going to weigh them. But we're going to release every one of those fish. And he set up a conservation model that not only held for bass fishing, but as you see it across the spectrum of other types of fishing, yeah. It's like, hey, look, this fish is far too valuable to be caught one time. Mm-hmm. And I really take my hat, we lost a giant. We lost the Teddy Roosevelt of recreational fishing last year with the passing of Ray Scott. Great guy.
Absolute pioneer of the industry. But yeah, like you said, now saltwater bass tournaments are going on. Trout is very on the fly, has been catch and release a lot. I think it's because people realize that the feeling of catching a fish is greater than the feeling of maybe cooking it and passing it on to someone else and give someone else.
And this is not about all catch and release, but it's about, hey, look at the fishery, look at, in particular in freshwater, where you've got, it's a closed system. So you've got to be, and the thing is, you look, where we're out in the California coast. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of folks out there that are fishing all the time, and it's like we can be enough of a change that alters the way fishing goes out there. So let's put one back for the next guy. And this is not to say, hey, look, you can take one home for dinner too. But I'm a big fan of slot limits.
Me too.
If it's a small fish, throw it back.
Yeah.
If it's a big fish, throw it back. It's the ones in the middle that are that are less fecund than the big ones, but large enough to reproduce. Those are the ones we should target for dinner.
Yeah, I'll never tell anybody to not keep a fish if they're within their legal right. Obviously, go for it. I think that's better than going to the market and buying a fish.
Absolutely.
I think it's really cool to go get your own food. I think that's awesome. But like you said, sustainability and doing things like the salt marsh and all that are key.
And this also kind of gets us back to Ben and what he's doing with the high schools and setting up that model down the line. He does a good job.
Yeah, he's becoming a pioneer in tournament fishing because it's either freshwater or saltwater. He's combining everything, which is so cool, man. Yeah. You can pick your poison and go, hey, you know what? I'm a saltwater guy. I'm going to go hit the beaches for this tournament. Or, hey, I'm a freshwater guy. I'm going to go try to win at the lakes. Or, you know what? I'm pretty good at both. Let's see if I can.
Well, I think you get extra points in his tournament for getting
number of species, right?
Number of species, not the number of fish, but the number of species. That's really important. So he does a good job there, and his staff is pretty good too.
Yeah. They're awesome, man. We always go pop in and just strike up a conversation. And
his daughter and son-in-law, but they get it. This is nepotism at its finest. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking for a tuna popper in there the other day, and I asked her his daughter. Yeah. She's like, "Oh, yep, right here." And I couldn't see it, and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." Yeah. They know, everybody in that shop knows what's up. Yeah. They know what's going on.
And that's important, especially if you're kind of new. Stick your nose in there, say hello.
Yeah.
And just tell them you're new. Hey, look, I'm looking around. There's nothing in particular I need, but I'm just kind of be here. And they'll show you around.
Yeah,
And
the hospitalities, they're so good with that. They will point you if you're shy. Don't worry, ask. They will point you in the right direction and help you out.
Hook, line, and sinker on the way up to Kachuma, Via Real, Cali Real, right there between State and 154. So well worth a visit. And like I said, say hello to Ben in there. He's doing a fabulous job about getting other people out fishing. And the thing that I like is he really is pointing them towards conservation.
Yeah, absolutely, and getting that younger generation into that competitive spirit.
Yep.
Which is
and this is open to all high schools in Santa Barbara County. It's a focus on it right now. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't have a fishing club at your high school, make one, because this is worth it.
That's it. Probably best to get in touch with him right there. And if you're a high school student out there, come on, stop by Hook, Line, and Sinker and say hello to Ben there and say, hey, I'd like to get in the, and he will manage to get you in the contest.
Yeah, and you're going to be sponsored.
Yeah, it's no cost to you. So
no cost to you. You have nothing to lose, and all to gain. You could be the Santa Barbara champ.
I think he's got some good prizes in there. I think they're basically, gift certificates within the store. But I mean, there are. You could get rigged up on some of those gift certificates. Are really, really, really good. So.
Yeah, and every high schooler that's fishing needs one of those gift certificates. Let me tell you, my little brother his whole paycheck goes to fishing.
Let's get back quickly to the no motor tournament. I mean, prizes in our tournaments are kayaks. Bass Pro Shop. Really
it's a beautiful kayak. I mean, I hate giving them away. They're so nice, But it's such an awesome prize. It's such a great way to win a kayak if you don't have one already, or if you do have one already. I mean, and that's just the top prize.
One quick thing about when you join the no motor tournament, we award plaques that tell you every year the winner. You're the big winner, and plaques for second and third. And the kayak goes in a raffle. So if you're the winner of the tournament, you don't necessarily win the kayak. You get a few more tickets in that raffle, so you got a better chance of winning the kayak or other prizes. But anybody that enters the tournament, whether or not they're the pro fisherman or not, has a very, very good chance of coming home with that kayak.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the no motor tournament, right? You have all these vendors coming together. The chances of winning a prize are really pretty good. Even if you don't catch a fish, you get a raffle ticket, right? And you can put it wherever you want, hopefully win a prize. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's all smiles.
I hear the music. We're going out. One more quick thing. I want to thank Steve Forsell from the Gaviota Coast Conservancy. He won the Penn Rod and Reel at the Conservancy Classic, and it's about time. He spent years and years putting money into that raffle, and he finally came away with a prize. So.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, thanks so much for being on Real World Conservation.
Tom, pleasure's mine. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Is this the life you choose? Oh, this is the life I choose.